The 53-man roster for the New York Jets is set-ish. The practice squad is set also-ish. We'll get into all of that here live on Boy Green Daily with some juicy deets. Let's go.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, everybody. What's poppin'? It's 7:30 live in the morning, which means Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show every gosh darn morning at 7:30. And for the very first time, gracing us with his presence, it is Antoine Staley of the New York Daily News, and let's bring him here on the freaking program, baby. Antoine, good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fired up, baby. I'm fired up. It was great to see you. So, of course, we met initially at the, Middle Initial podcast pregame tailgate last year. We got to run into each other at the Hall of Fame, have some lunch or dinner, whatever time that was, some sort of meal of some sort, which was fantastic. And Antoine, since the last time we spoke in person, you are now adding another thing to your gosh darn byline, and that is the host of the Back Page Breakdown, one part of the Believe Network, where you'll be talking about hot topics, NFL Jets twice a week. And of course, people can find it on Spotify and the Apple Podcast. Antoine, jumping in the game. I love it. Nice. Jumping back in the game, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't done like regular podcasts in a little while. So, and like I said, I did do radio down in Miami when I was covering the Dolphins for years. So, yeah, it'd be pretty cool just to have some few people on and talk NFL. And, it's a exciting time. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Do you miss the radio? Come on, as another radio guy, because after this, I'm running literally to a radio station to do a 2-hour show. Do you miss radio a little bit?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool, especially if something major is happening. But at the same time, not necessarily. It's days where I don't, because sometimes I would, write and do a lot of Dolphins coverage, but then also do radio from like 6 to 10 too. So yeah, it could be like a long day as well.
Yeah, I could imagine. So you've had Will Parkinson on the show. I saw that. Nice. A great guest, of course. Antoine, who else, can you give us a little tease? What kind of guest could we be expecting on your brand new show?
It just depends on what's going on at the moment. We'll kind of look at, some AFC East teams too, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills coming up as well. And we'll also do teams outside of that too as well. Maybe some Giants coverage, I'm sure. Also, I kind of want to, bring somebody on and talk about the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers, because I also think those are intriguing teams too, because I mean, AFC is stacked, and I think, even a team like Cleveland or Pittsburgh could possibly sneak their way into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, that could be crazy. Again, there's just so many names. Right. We're like, oh, yeah, Deshaun Watson, which, by the way, prior to all this action that happened, he was considered one of the best young quarterbacks in all football. Now it's past the biscuits. He's like QB 12, apparently, in the AFC. So we'll see how it all figures out. There's a lot to kind of put the pieces together there. Let's go through a couple of waves here. First off, the practice squad isn't really set. There are 16 players that could be on the practice squad. They just have 10 from their own team that they announced yesterday. That is Tim Boyle, Zach Coons, Adam Pankey, Tansow Smart, Marquis Spencer, Sam, the linebacker, Caleb Johnson, Trey Dean, Craig James, and Shelton, the corner. And the two from the outside that the Jets have not confirmed yet are Xavier Valladay and Tyreek Jones, I believe. So those are the 12. Any surprises with the practice squad so far, or anyone that's joined, not joined, or could join?
Not really. I mean, I think, once they made the moves that they did, it's kind of the people that you saw. I thought, a guy like Tansow Smart is probably good enough to be on somebody's main roster. I'm a little surprised that he's not, quite frankly, because with all the depth the Jets have on the defensive line. Outside of that, Tim Boyle, I definitely expected him to make his way onto the Jets practice squad as well. Everybody else is kind of like, yeah, I think you kind of saw coming.
Let me ask you because, like, it's funny, and I'm sure you covered the Dolphins for a long time now. I've covered the Jets here. That Jet fans were always freak out. They freak out about a lot of stuff, but they freak out in particular, like Zach Coons. He's on the practice squad. All throughout the offseason, though, they're like, well, the Jets can't afford to cut him in the moment of waivers that went through yesterday because obviously he's going to get claimed. Like Jets fans seem to hype up their guys that maybe 53rd, 54, 55 guys more than ever and always scare themselves that they're going to lose these players. And oh, wait, they didn't. Like even Chris Trevor last year, Jet fans were like, whoa, 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 you could lose him in the fold somehow if you cut him. So like Zach Coons, was there any worry there? Because there was some trade interest, it said, on the social media streets with him potentially.
I don't think so. I think teams in particular, the fans, not necessarily Jet fans, but I think, you can look at fans across the board. When you have a guy, they tend to hype him up a little bit more than what he is. And, you have to remember what Coons was coming into the draft. Like he's a guy that has some injury concerns there, has a lot of talent, but at the same time, really didn't put much together until he went to ODU and talked about the injuries as well. He's still trying to work his way back. So I think, he was a 7th-round pick. It's not like he was a 4th or 5th-round pick. I think that was that would have been a much bigger deal. But yeah, I think he might work his way into the fold. But I think also 7th-round picks. When you're a 7th-round pick, you're kind of like an undrafted free agent. All of those guys are kind of muddled and kind of a bit of the same. At least the perspective that I see it as well.
All right, let's go to an actual undrafted free agent. That is Zonovan Knight, another fan favorite by a lot of people. Were you surprised by either of these two things? Number one, that he was cut. And number two, that, okay, he got cut, did not get claimed off of waivers, but still chose the Detroit Lions practice squad over the Jets ultimately.
No, not necessarily. Considering the preseason that he had, I thought, obviously last year, I think he was the Jets' best starting running back, and then things have changed. I mean, this is a completely different roster nowadays. Now, when you end up having obviously Bam, I mean not Bam, but Brees coming back, and also Dalvin Cook coming into the fold as well, and Michael Carter, and at least with the Lions, I mean, you do have Jahmyr Gibbs there, but after that, it's kind of you also do have David Montgomery, but
yes,
still an opportunity for him to possibly get some carries there. You never know with injuries. I just think with the Jets' depth at the running back position, I mean, he really was the odd man out, and it would have taken a lot for him even just to make his way onto the 53-man roster. So I think that's definitely probably a better situation for him to be in Detroit than it is with the Jets. But yeah, I definitely wish him the best too as well. It was good getting to know him, and especially him being a North Carolina guy like myself too, although I'm not a big NC State guy. If you know me, where I went, background and where I went to school.
Yeah, that's right. Again, we're speaking with Antoine Gosh darn Staley here on the program. Antoine, obviously, you've been at the press conferences, been at the locker rooms because, of course, you cover the team for the New York Daily News. What have your interactions been like with Aaron Rodgers? I think we talked about it in person about, your guys' hip-hop battle that I don't know which One Jets Drive or Hard Knocks, whatever that made it on. That was a lot of fun. But however, conversations been both, things that have been recorded and then off camera as well.
I didn't know that made I need to watch more One Jets Drive then. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, we kind of talking to him about music and stuff like that, and I think we saw the DJ on Hard Knocks as well. I also did an article on him. You can go check that out. It's on my Twitter account at Antoine Staley. But yeah, I think I think the players are really gravitated towards him. I mean, he's obviously an older guy, but he's been acting like he's one of the guys, and I definitely think he seems like he's a kid at heart, and but also as you saw on Hard Knocks as well, he's starting to get a little bit more serious, and definitely wants that sense of urgency is starting to kick in, especially when the season is coming about. But it's been really good to get to know him, especially knowing what ticks him, knowing what ticks, knowing what gets them going, and also what motivates them. And I definitely think, you're kind of seeing just that old school Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, it seems like he probably has changed, like we all do. Everybody changes as they get older, or you should. I definitely think you should change when you get
Right.
older, but I definitely think you're seeing, just this new type of, enthusiasm with Aaron Rodgers, especially on being on a new team and a new situation. And I think it's coming through just the interactions and with the players that he's having this offseason and going into the season.
What do you make of the Jihad Carter thing? So, of course, if anyone watched Hard Knocks, we got the additional info
More,
after the
yeah.
game initially. Yeah, after the game initially, right? He said, "Stay tuned to Hard Knocks," and then we got it. And there's this back and forth. Now, some Jet fans have like, "Oh, this is amazing. We love it." And obviously, the Jets and Giants will be playing Week 8 after the bye. But I've seen some fans from other teams criticizing it, saying it's corny and saying Aaron Rodgers playing it up for the cameras. What was your take on all that?
I mean, I guess he already knew it was probably going to be on there. He knew it was mic'd up, so he was like, I don't need much. I don't need to say much. It's probably going to be on Hard Knocks anyway, so I don't blame him at all. I just think the whole situation is my whole thing with that is if you had a problem with what Randall Cobb did, won't you just say something to Randall Cobb, not necessarily Aaron Rodgers? To me, just to say you don't know who Aaron Rodgers. I mean, everybody, if you watch football, you know who Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody's father or mother that doesn't watch football. I mean, you're playing in the league. You know who Aaron Rodgers is. The man is a future Hall of Famer. So, I mean, just to kind of take a little bit of a cheap shot like that, especially in a preseason game, yeah, that's a little bit low for me. And then him just not saying much until Hard Knocks come out. I guess he was painted in a bad light, and he probably knew that, but I just don't understand some of the comments there. You could have taken your complaints up with Randall Cobb instead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that could have been perhaps a better way potentially to put that. Again, we're speaking with Antoine Staley here on the program, and Antoine, you talked about like it was kind of interesting to get to know Aaron Rodgers. Has there been a surprising player that you've talked to that maybe has been a good interview for you, or the entire media? Has there been someone that maybe fans wouldn't expect? Who is that player?
We just now getting back in the locker room, so we'll
Mhm.
have more of an opportunity to get to know some of the guys. But the one guy that they brought to the podium, who I guess I had no idea he was such a character, was Al Woods. Al
Mm.
Woods is just hilarious and unintentionally funny, which I think is the best type of funny.
Yes. Yeah.
He's just himself and unapologetic, and I think I think it was tremendous, especially his introductory press conference with the Jets too over the summer. If you go back and watch that, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah, and he's the Southern boy, which I just love. I just love his entire again. He said, "I wasn't by my phone. I was on the tractor for hours." My wife, when I came back, it was just yeah, amazing. He seems like a really good personality too. And Antoine, I'm sure you, the rest of the beat, the fans even are sick of talking about expectations because they've been talking about them for months. But heading into week 1, we're not quite into game week. We have this new NFL scheduling. We kind of have this weird in between week before it's officially quote unquote game week next week. But based on everything you've seen, everything you've heard, the Bills are a really great opponent to start the season against. Do you think this Jets team is ready for all the expectations and hype that's here?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been ready or had to be ready, prepared for it the moment they drafted. I mean, the moment they traded for Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just kind of been what it is. Whether they wanted the expectations or not, I mean, they are what they are. People expect big things from them, and anytime you acquire a guy that's won 4 MVPs, there has won a Super Bowl championship, been a Super Bowl MVP, and been one of the best ever, then you're gonna have those high expectations, fairly or unfairly. But yeah, I think the team has really embraced the high expectations there. I mean, if you watch ESPN, especially in the morning, that's all you see a lot of Jet stuff. And I don't know if Jet fans have necessarily seen that in the last 10, 12 years, something like that. Especially nowadays where, you're having these morning shows, especially talking about football. But yeah, I mean, they are what they are. I think the team has really embraced it. I know I talked to a few players about that, Jermaine Johnson in particular, and they want it. They want this as high expectation, especially a team that has not I mean, I don't think a lot of people thought the Jets would, even though they finished 7-10, I don't think a lot of people thought they would be in the playoff midst like they were a year ago. And then now to go from that to, a team that's thought of maybe contending for a Super Bowl, yeah, they're definitely excited. I mean, obviously the fans are excited, and I'm curious to see how this season is going to go.
Antoine, you used to cover the Dolphins. I see we got Barney in here asking a question about it, so I'll combine some of his thoughts with this. That you used to cover the Dolphins. I've noticed Dolphins fans this offseason for all the wrong reasons. Like they all seem to be going, Aaron Rodgers over the hill. There's a lot of chirpiness happening, like some salty for I have no idea what reason and what's going on there. What are these Dolphin fans like? Because you used to be thrown among them, covering Miami for so long. I've just noticed a lot of Dolphins action this offseason on social media.
Like Jets fans, they're basically the same. That's why they don't get along.
Jet fans don't want to hear that, but yes, yeah, I see. Yeah.
I mean, you typically when you don't like a certain fan, like you're kind of the same. They're kind of very similar to each other. They're both tortured fan bases. It's just tortured in different ways.
Yeah.
The Dolphins hadn't won a playoff game since 2000. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of pain and anger coming out and some of that. And I think it's a lot of I don't want to say jealousy, but you have to look at it from their perspective. I mean, the Dolphins made the playoffs last year. They have a really good team. Obviously with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I thought getting Vic Fangio defensively was going to help improve them, but nobody's really talking about them whatsoever. So I think in their perspective, they're probably like, the Jets are getting all this attention and love, and they don't. They're probably upset about it. Just like I probably think Bills fans are probably upset about it because the Bills have won the division 3 years in a row. Again, I don't want to say nobody, but a lot of people aren't talking about Buffalo like they're, giving them the respect that they should have, winning the division 3 years in a row. And also, being up there at least at one time contending with Cincinnati and also Kansas City. And even, I'm sure Patriot fans are kind of, it's kind of they're in a weird place because they the Patriots ran the division for so long, and now there's a bit of a transition there. But I think their team, I want to say they're going to make the playoffs, but we always know the Patriots are well coached and they have a great defense, and I think they're whoever wins the division, the Patriots are going to determine that one way or the other, because either you're going to sweep them, or if you don't sweep them, then you could be a team, especially considering how stacked the AFC is, on the outside looking in on the playoff picture.
Interesting. And then quick follow-up on the AFC East. So do you believe all these teams in the division are a contender? Because Patriots almost get the benefit of the doubt a lot of times because, they have Bill Belichick and they will figure it out. And Bill O'Brien, by default, has to be better than whatever thing they did last year. And of course, Belichick always brings a defense. So will they be in this thing along with the other teams in the division, or will there be some level of bottoming out there?
I don't think they're a playoff team, but I also don't think they're going to be awful either, if that makes sense. I think they're about mediocre. I think they have a quarterback issue. I think if they had I think if they didn't have, I think they had a better quarterback than Matt Jones, then we're talking about a team that could possibly win maybe 10 games. I think they're that good. I think defensively, I think they're stacked. I really do. I think they have the best offensive line in the division too, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you look at the Jets, you look at what the Bills are and the Dolphins and the Jets. You can make the argument, even though I think the Jets' offensive line will be a little better than Miami's, although, Miami has Teron Armstead, but we also know the injury history with him.
Of course.
I think now with them being whole, I think they'll be in a much better place. It's just a matter of getting those reps, especially all the ones you missed throughout the preseason. That could take a little bit of time for them to gel, but I think the Jets' offensive line will be in a good place. But yeah, I think the Patriots, I think defensively they're going to be really good. It's just and they got a really good run game with Stevenson there. Obviously picked up Ezekiel Elliott. I think their wide receiving core is a little bit better, getting Juju Smith-Schuster there. It's just, can Matt Jones step up and at least show some of the qualities as he showed as a rookie when they made the playoffs?
Now, I know you discussed this in, again, your brand new podcast for the Believe Network. So, guys, you can check it out again, Back Page Breakdown. The running back split week 1. Like, so Brees Hall, it sounds like he's going to be ready. Dalvin Cook just practiced fully, and he sounds like he's going to be ready. How did the Jets handle this thing? Because Robert Sala also kind of talked about having a discipline there that, Brees probably wants 1,000 touches, but they don't want to necessarily do that. How do you believe that's ultimately going to go in week 1 between those two guys? Plus, obviously, they still have Michael Carter and Izzy as well, obviously.
Yeah, I think Robert talked about this the other day. I mean, you kind of want to protect Brees, especially protect him from himself. And he's coming off an ACL injury, like less than a year removed from it. You definitely don't want to just go out there and give him 30 touches a game. But I think it's something to be said for, also getting him back into the fold as well. Maybe you start out with, 10, 15 touches a game and then just kind of gravitate towards that, because he's going to be your future running back. He's part of your future, at least going to be there after this year for 2 more years. You hope a lot more longer than that. And you got a guy like Dalvin Cook. He's older. I know he has shoulder issues there in the past, but he's there for a year. It's kind of like a 1-year thing for him, and he'll be a free agent next year. But yeah, I definitely think ultimately you're going to have Dalvin, take a bulk of the carries early on and the touches. And I think as Brees gets more stronger and healthier, then maybe, you play more of the hot hand and see who's going to be the better running back throughout the course of the season and take it from there. But I think Brees will get more and more carries and touches as the season goes on.
All right, beautiful. Well, that's all the Jet fans, of course, can hope for. Antoine, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show. And you corrected me earlier again, Jihad Ward. But yes, maybe I did that on purpose because Aaron Rodgers didn't know who he was, and I didn't know who the hell he was. So maybe that was on purpose, and that's what I will sell, because I definitely didn't do that absolutely on purpose. I definitely didn't do that by accident. Anywho, Antoine, I know you got a very busy day covering all things New York Jets, your brand new podcast. You're a freaking superstar, baby. It's always great having you here on the program, and always great seeing you, of course, in person as well. Antoine, thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Paul.
All right, of course. Everybody make sure you follow Antoine Staley at that very handle on Twitter, X, or whatever the hell they're calling that thing. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30. Take care.